Okay, this is very important lab, and maybe all the screenshots are not here. Okay, so try to get the option somehow. So this is the default VPC in the same region, US East region 1. I'll create one more. Okay, so if you go, let's go to this AP South one just for demo. So as I said, each region will have a different VPC. Okay, a default one. So this is a default VPC. Subnets are there. Okay, default subnets. A route table is there, a default one, and one internet gateway will be also attached to that VPC. And NAT gateway is not there. Okay, and if you go to security groups, there will be a default security group, and if you go to the security group rules, okay, so inbound rule is all, outbound is also all. Okay, and tomorrow or on Monday we'll be seeing about network ACLs as well. Okay, access control list, that is on the top of security. That is a two layer of security, you can say. First is security group, okay, that is at the instance level, and the NACL, that is at the subnet level. This we'll see later. And let's go back to our US East region 1. Okay, so let's go to our VPC. We are on VPC dashboard. To come to the VPC dashboard, just type VPC here and click on VPC. Okay, and click on create VPC. Okay, so this is some new method. Okay, but I'll be using old method only here. So I'll just give the name my VPC. The names may vary in the exercise. Okay, so my VPC, it needs a range. So let's give 10.0.0.0/24. Let's keep it 16. Okay, and just click on create VPC. The default one has 172 range, and the custom VPC, my VPC, is having the 10.0 range. Now let's go to the subnet. Okay, here we'll create a new subnet. Okay, and the subnet is created in that particular VPC. So this will be my VPC. The subnet name is my public subnet. I'll write. Okay, and it will be in a US East 1A. Okay, and it will have a range 10.0.1.0/24. Okay, I'll create one more subnet, and that will be my private subnet. Availability zone, let's keep it in 1B, and the IP address range is 10.0.2.0/24, and just click on create subnet. Okay, so we created a VPC, and two subnets. One is my public subnet and other one is the private in my VPC. Okay, even though I'm calling it a public, it will not become public until internet gateway route is added there. Okay, now the next one is, okay, so the sequence in this exercise and whatever I've written here may vary. Okay, so you can follow anyone. And now let's go to the internet gateway, and we need to create an internet gateway. So my IGW, I'll write, it's not a use hyphen, my internet gateway, and just click on create internet gateway. Okay. So if you see, it was saying attached to VPC. So sometimes it will automatically give what needs to be done next. Okay, whenever we create an internet gateway, it should be associated with some VPC, so it should be attached to VPC. Just click on attach to VPC. Okay, which VPC? My VPC. Okay, and just click on attach internet gateway. So we created a VPC. In VPC we created two subnets. Okay, then we created an internet gateway and we attached this internet gateway to a particular VPC, that is our my VPC. Now what I'll do is let's detach. Okay, I'll detach it. Okay, let's directly create. Remember, I have created an internet gateway, but I have detached. Okay, I have created only VPC and subnets, and we have only a default route table. Okay, now let's create EC2 instances. So what I'll do is I'll just do EC2, and the EC2 will be in a next tab. So most of the times we have a EC2 dashboard and a VPC dashboard. So let's keep it in separate tabs. So here I'll create an instance, launch instance. Okay, my public server, or you can also write web server. We'll use Ubuntu and Ubuntu 22, then T2 micro, my key pair. In network settings, this is important, choose the VPC which we created, my VPC, and the public subnet. Okay, we want it in a public subnet, so US East 1A. Okay, and it should have an public IP address. Only the public subnet will have the public IP address. Okay, we'll create a new security group and will allow port 80 as well, HTTP, and from will allow it from everywhere, 0.0.0. Other options I'll keep default one and just click on launch instance. So let's wait for it to get running. Let's refresh. Meanwhile, I'll create one more. Maybe it will take time. Let's launch one more EC2 instance. My private server. Ubuntu 22. Ubuntu. So here again we'll change the VPC for private, my VPC, the one custom VPC we create, and it should have a private subnet. It will be created in the US East 1B. Okay, and for private subnet we won't assign a public IP address. We'll create a security group, and here we do not need, we don't have web server on it, so we won't have web server on it, so only SSH we need, security group, and just click on launch instance. So both the instances are created. Okay, so until private one gets initialized, let's try to access this one. Okay, so one method would be directly SSH using putty, and other method will be, let's try from, click on it and click on connect, go to EC2 instance connect, Ubuntu username, just click on connect. Okay, so if you see, it gave an error. Until now, whenever we used to create anything in the VPC default one, we never got this error, right? So why we are getting this error? So we just created the EC2, we just created the VPC. Okay, so we created the VPC, we added VPC into it, subnets into it. Okay, the private and public subnet. So in this case, the public subnet, and it will get the access only when we create the internet gateway and attach it to that particular VPC. Only using that gateway it is getting the access. So let's click on attach to VPC and select that my VPC and click on attach internet gateway. Okay, so let's wait few seconds. We have VPC. Inside that subnet we created an internet gateway and we attached it to, so if it say it is attached to this my VPC. Now go back to the EC2 instance, my public web server, and try to click on connect. Okay, so if you see instance, yeah, if you see, this is the warning that port 22 is open to all IP addresses. That is fine. And look at this warning, instance is not in public subnet. Okay, even though we created the public subnet, but it doesn't, how it will be in a public subnet, we need to associate that in a route table. Okay, until and unless we add a route, okay, for that subnet to the internet gateway, okay, it will not be considered as public subnet. So let's, it will not work, but let's again try to connect. Okay, it failed. Okay, so if you see, as I said, it will directly give the warning, okay, that something is not correct. Okay, it calculated that port 28 is open and gave a warning, and it is saying instant is not in public subnet. So what makes it a public subnet? When we add a rule, okay, add a route in the subnet route table to an internet gateway. So next is, we will be creating our new route table. We won't use the default one. Okay, so we'll create a new route table, my public route table, select VPC for which we are creating. Okay, and just click on create route table. Okay, so by default there will be a rule. Okay, this is the rule that locally allow everything. Now we'll click on edit routes. Okay, remember how to add a route. Click on edit routes, click on add route. Okay, from everywhere, okay, allow traffic to internet gateway, and choose the internet gateway which we created. Okay, you have to click here, otherwise it won't list, and remember the name. Okay, and just click on save now. Okay, now we have a route to the internet gateway. Now again go to EC2 instance, select it and click on connect. Okay, and still it is saying to make a public subnet route in the route table to an internet gateway. We added it, right? Maybe we'll have to refresh it once. Let's try to connect. So it failed again. Let's check why. Let's click on connect again. So we added a route, okay, but along with adding a route, we should also associate it with the route subnet as well. Okay, so the route table that needs to be associated. So what we need to do is just click on it and click on actions. Okay, edit subnet association. Okay, click on that and we need to associate that route table with that particular subnet. Click on my public subnet and save association. So remember it, you are selecting the correct one. This is for public. So that's it. The association is done. You have successfully updated subnet association. Now, okay, I'll remove this EC2. Click on my public server. Click on connect. Okay, so now we do not have any warning. The only warning is port 22 is open to all. Okay, for the time being we can ignore it. And now if I try to connect, I'll be able to connect it. We got connected. Let's also check using putty. So let's change the IP. Copy. Click on open. Okay, so it's working. The sequence is very important, and the error which it says may not be applicable. It was saying that subnet is not added in the route table, but it didn't tell us about the association. Okay, so until and unless we do the association, we'll not be able to connect it from the outside world. Okay, so we got connected here is, and let's check the IP address. IPA command, we can check the IP address. So it is having the IP address 10.0.1.137. So the most of the time the host name also has the same thing here. Okay, 10.0.1.137. Instead of dot, it is using hyphen. We can check the host name using the host name command. Okay, now what is the IP address of the private server? Okay, so as the private server is not having a public IP address, we cannot connect to it. Okay, so we'll have to connect via private IP. Okay, and private IP cannot be accessed over internet. That is, we cannot access from this putty tool like this. This will not work. Okay, so this will not work because this is a private IP address. If I have it within my network, within my home network, this IP address range, then I can access it. Otherwise it will not be accessible. Okay, so to access it, we'll have to first log in to this public server. Okay, and then access this, because they are part of a same VPC. Both are part of a same VPC, so the connection will be allowed. Okay, so try to SSH. Okay, so it is asking me for username and password. That means the access will work. Okay, it won't have error, but we do not have the private key. Now remember, for this I added this key pair. Okay, and for this also I added the key pair. Okay, to connect to this server. Okay, the public server, I already have, if you see the setting, okay, I already have the key. It is in credentials. Okay, I'll have to load it, then it will work. new session. Just load this. When I load it, if I go to SSH auth credentials, due to this key pair, this is the private key which I am using to connect. Okay, so this key pair is available on my putty or on my Windows system from where I'm trying to connect. So that's why I'm able to connect. Okay, but this is a newly created VM. Okay, which one? This public one. So from that public VM, we are trying to access the private VM. Okay, so it also needs the key. Okay, so how to connect? We'll have to use a private key. Okay, and the private key is of Ubuntu. Okay, so it will not work. So what we'll have to do is, while creating an EC2 instance, I should have created the PEM, not the putty one, for both. Okay, so this is quite confusing for you. Otherwise, this ppk should be converted into PEM. Okay, so what we will do is, I'll have to delete it. Okay, for demo purposes, what we will, so till here it's okay that we are able to connect. Let's exit. Now I'll have to quickly create a new VMs. Okay, I'll just delete both. I can convert that PPK to PEM. Okay, but that will again add a learning curve for all of you. So the best method would be, let's create with PEM. For this exercise, let's create PEM keys. So I'll launch instances quickly. So the first one will be, let's name it public server. I'll remove my from it. Public server Ubuntu Ubuntu 22, instance type T2 micro. Okay, and here I'll create a new key pair. Okay, so I won't use the ppk, so I'll create a new pair for PEM. I won't use ppk, so I'll write it here. What was the name? I'll use the same naming convention, key pair hyphen class. Hyphen class, and I'll write it as Linux, and just create a key pair. Okay. Remember, it will have .pem extension, create key pair, and I'll save it. Edit network settings, select or my VPC, then I need a public subnet. This is a public server. It needs a public IP address, only the public VM. I'll create a new security group. I'll allow port 80 as well. That is HTTP. Allow it from everywhere. And that's it. Launch instance. Now other instance will create. Private server, again Ubuntu 22, confirm changes, T2 micro, key pair. I'll use this one, okay, which I created .pem1, network settings, my VPC, and it should be a part of private subnet. Okay, no public IP, no auto assign public IP will be disabled. I'll create a new security group. Okay, only SSH is required as of now, and just click on launch instance. So we had to recreate because we were having .ppk. We need .pem as of now. Okay, so let's wait for instances to get created. All stats. The public and private servers both are getting ready. So I think public server will be accessible. Let's access it using this. Okay, just click on connect. Okay, so I'm connected to the public instance now. Let's wait for the private server to get ready. Running. Okay, both are ready now. So I cannot directly access the private server. So I'll have to first go to the public. Okay, and from there I can access this one because they are both part of a same VPC. And if they are not part of same VPC, we cannot access. So from here I'll do SSH. Okay, but it will refuse the connection. Okay, so here it is already Ubuntu user, so I don't need to add -l Ubuntu. By default it will try to connect as an Ubuntu. Okay, and it will deny. Okay, because we need to use the private key here. Okay, so when we connect with the public instance, it automatically takes it from our this DevOps user key. Okay, it does automatically when we use the EC2 connect method. Okay, but now to access the private one, I downloaded the key, right? I downloaded here in my folder. Okay, so this is the Linux key and it is a PEM file. Okay, so I should have added the extension here dot PEM, then it's now just double click on it or right click and open with notepad. Okay, so this is the key. Okay, so if what we need to do is just copy it. This is the only method you all also have to follow. Okay, copy this key, go to this session. Okay, I'm on public VM now. Okay, just do use cat greater than sign and you can directly write private key.pem and just save it. Right click and paste. Okay, control D. Okay, and just do SSH and make sure its permission is ls-ld private key. So it's world, right? So everyone this permission is read write. Okay, so we'll be learning about this permission and all in Linux class later, but as of now just make it more secure. Only root user can read it. Just make it private key.pem. Now again check the permission, it is 400. Okay, now just click on, just do ssh-i private key. Okay, and the IP address, that is 10.0.2.194, 10.0.2.194, and click enter. Okay, so we are connected to the private IP. Okay, so if you see there are some servers for which we do not want to give the public access. So in that case we need to create such network, and in this case the public server, I'm calling it a public server. Okay, but actually it is a jump server. Okay, only via this server we can access the other servers in that particular VPC which are in private subnet. Okay, so this public server is most of the times called jump server or also a bastion host. Okay, so I think here also I've written, okay, no, but this is called as bastion host as well, the public server, bastion host, or a jump server, using which I can connect the other internal servers. Okay, now what we will do is we'll try to, on this private server, we need to install some packages. Okay, so before installing some packages on the private server, let's try to install some package just on the public server. Sudo apt get, I'm on public server. Okay, apt get update. So here if you see, the internet is working, so it's getting all the details. It fetched some, means it is syncing the repositories. Okay, now I'll do sudo apt get -y install apache 2. So here again the packages are getting downloaded without any issue. And in this its security group, we opened the port 80 for this. So let's browse it. Okay, via public IP address. Okay, the default page is displayed. Okay, that means it's working fine. Okay, now we'll have to go to the private, okay, private server. In that we need to install only the database. Okay, generally the website is public facing, and the database we do not want to give the access to everyone. Okay, so it is not available in the public subnet, it is available only in the private subnet. So here I'll try to run this two commands, sudo apt get update, and and with and will write sudo apt get -y install mysql server. Okay, and just press enter. Okay, and if you see, it will not work properly. Okay, the internet, it doesn't have an internet. The main reason is it is not in a public subnet. Okay, and the other reason is, uh, actually main reason is that it's not in a public subnet, it's in a private subnet, and we need to attach a NAT gateway to it. Okay, then only it will have the internet. Okay, so only for outgoing it needs an internet, not for incoming we cannot access it at all, because it is in a private subnet. So what we need to do is we need to go to this VPC dashboard. Okay, and here at the end we have NAT gateway. Okay, just create a NAT gateway. So I'll just write my NAT gateway, and for subnet, okay, it will not be for private subnet. Okay, it should be for public subnet. NAT gateway is created in a public subnet. Okay, and it needs an elastic IP. Okay, remember, it needs an elastic IP. So just it will automatically or dynamically get the elastic IP. Just click on allocate elastic IP. It will get the elastic IP. Elastic IP means the IP which will never change. It is not ephemeral. And just click on create NAT gateway. NAT gateway was created successfully. So we have a VPC. In VPC we have two subnets, public and private. Okay, and we have an internet gateway. Internet gateway is attached to VPC. Okay, and then we have a route table, my public route table. In that we have associated public subnet and allowed a rule for an internet gateway. Okay, now we are still on in the browser. We are still on the private VM or EC2 instance. Just try to run this command again. Okay, again it will not work. Okay, because we haven't defined the routes. Okay, so in order to make it run, again we'll have to define the routes. Okay, so to define the routes, go to VPC dashboard, click on route tables, create route table, my private route table. Okay, select a VPC for which, okay, and click on create route table. Okay, so by default it will allow the VPC network. Here what we have to do, click on edit routes. Okay, define a route from everywhere to NAT gateway. Okay, and select the NAT gateway which we created now and click on save changes. Okay, so a rule for sending traffic to NAT gateway is created. Again, go to our EC2 instance and try to, again it is not working. Okay, so I'm purposely giving you this error one by one, because in production environment also you will face some issues. Okay, so if someone deletes the route table or doesn't add the route table rules, then you will face such issues. Now again go to the route table, and we haven't done the subnet association. Only when we do the subnet association it will start working. And now here we have to subnet for private route table, it will be private subnet. Click on save association. So remember this is 2.0, it is for private. Then click on save association. Okay, now we have a rule, route proper rule, and even the subnet association is done here. So explicit subnet association and subnet association without subnets without explicit, that is also it will show here, but we are interested in this one. Now go to the console, and there is also a spelling mistake here. Okay, now it started. Okay, so NAT gateway is important. After that a route rule is important, and third one is subnet association. Okay, even if you forget any one of those, then it will not work, and it takes a lot of time to troubleshoot such issues. Okay, and this is the production ready scenario wherein we'll have a jump server, that is the public server, and only via public server will be able to access the private servers. Okay, so the MySQL is installed. In the code we will, if there is a necessity for connecting the web server to the MySQL server, in code the connection string will be defined on the private IP addresses only. Okay, nothing on the public IP address. Okay, so this is what everything is given in the document. Okay, so over the weekend, okay, you'll have to complete only this 6.1, follow the recording, and also this document. Okay, so only challenge you may face is in SSH, how to SSH. So just follow what I have done, and then you'll be able to do this. And on Monday we have one more exercise, 6.2. Okay, it is also similar to the previous one. The only thing is we'll be adding NACL. Okay, so Monday we'll do both the exercises again in the class, but we have 2 days or 3 days you can say. So try to work on this. Okay, so most of the mastery you'll get in the VPC. VPC is very important in AWS. Okay, so if you have any questions, let me know.